2,200 years ago, an emperor built rivers and seas of mercury inside his own tomb. To this day, no one has ever opened it. Then in 2015, on the other side of the planet, the same thing was discovered. Liquid mercury came pouring out from beneath the pyramids of Teotihuacan in Mexico. Two civilizations that never knew the other existed had dreamed of eternity with the very same substance.
朕即天下，这片土地的尽头，都将臣服于朕的法令之下。
Why did three civilizations that knew nothing of each other rise at the same time and fall at the same time? In part 3, we witnessed the Axial Age, when thinkers across three continents awakened simultaneously. But ideas alone cannot change the world. The moment an idea truly becomes a weapon is when someone appears who can carry it on the tip of a blade. In the 3rd century before Christ, that man arrives. The king of Qin, Zhang, wielding Han Fei Zi's legalist philosophy. The future Qin Shi Huang. He had no use for the benevolence of Confucius or the Wu Wei of Lao Tzu. He believed only law and punishment could govern all under heaven. While Qin Shi Huang was sharpening his blade, a small city on the Mediterranean was swallowing the Italian Peninsula whole. Rome. Having absorbed Greek tactics and seized control of the peninsula, this city was evolving into a military machine that would devour the world. In the east, empires were born by the sword, in the west, by the legion. But in the Americas, something strange was happening. A colossal city, no one knows who designed it or what people built it, began rising on the Mexican plateau. Teotihuacan. Even that name was given centuries later by the Aztecs. In the 3rd century before Christ, 3 suns rose over the earth at the same time. In 230 before Christ, Qin Shi Huang's army crossed the border of the weakest state, Han, and fired the opening shot of the War of Unification. Behind infantry clad in iron armor, hundreds of crossbows drew back their strings in unison. When the arrows blotted out the sky, the enemy lines crumbled.
所有文字同意，所有度量衡统一，不服从朕的书籍全部焚毁，一本不留。
The burning of books and burying of scholars. Diversity of thought was the enemy of a unified empire. Having destroyed all 6 rival states in just 10 years, Qin Shi Huang began building the longest wall in human history to hold back the northern nomads. The Great Wall, a vast boundary line stretching endlessly along the mountain ridges. Hundreds of thousands of laborers were forced into service. Those who collapsed were buried right where they fell, between the stones. The wall was built of limestone and of bone. Qin Shi Huang built walls to keep enemies out. In that same era, another man chose to go over one. In 218 before Christ, the Carthaginian general Hannibal set out to cross the Alps with 37 elephants and an army of 50,000.
If there is no path, I shall make one. Rome rules the sea, so I will cross the mountains and strike at her heart.
In blizzards at 20 below zero, elephant hooves slipped on ice and the screams of soldiers tumbling off cliffs were swallowed by the wind. By the time Hannibal's army crossed the Alps, it had been cut in half. But the survivors stood waiting on the plains of Italy, ready for the Roman legions. 216 before Christ, the Battle of Cannae. The most catastrophic single day in Roman history begins. Hannibal's crescent formation closed in on 80,000 Romans from both sides. Trapped soldiers trampled one another as they fell.
I cannot breathe. The man beside me died standing. There is no room even to raise my sword. Gods help us.
In a single day, 70,000 Roman soldiers were killed. It remains the deadliest single battle toll in the history of warfare. But Rome did not fall. This was a state that learned from every defeat. The man who finally broke Hannibal was another genius, Scipio. In both East and West, war gave birth to empire. But in that city in the Americas, there were no defensive walls, no trace of any army. And yet, beneath the foundations of the Pyramid of the Sun, more than 200 human sacrifice victims were unearthed. Only the method of spilling blood was different. Empires on 3 continents were being born the same way, on blood. When Qin Shi Huang died, his empire collapsed almost overnight. But from the ruins, an even mightier dynasty arose. The Han Dynasty. Where Qin had ruled with the sword, the Han filled that space with the brush and with ritual. Emperor Wu of Han expanded the territory in every direction, building the most vast empire in all of Chinese history. While the Han Dynasty was seizing control of the East, in the West, another man was devouring the world. Julius Caesar. By his own account, he killed 1 million and enslaved 1 million more. Whether exaggerated or not, Gaul was laid to waste. In 58 before Christ, Roman legions clashed with Gallic warriors in the forests and marshes of Gaul. 8 years of war, iron pilum punching through shields. When the war ended, Caesar faced a choice: disband his army or...
The die is cast. The moment we cross the Rubicon, Rome shall no longer be a republic.
In 44 before Christ, stabbed 23 times, Caesar fell. But his death did not restore the republic. It gave birth to an empire. His adopted son, Octavian, became the first emperor, Augustus. Pax Romana. 200 years of Roman peace had begun. Rome and the Han Dynasty, the empires of East and West, reached their golden ages at the same time. And between these two giants, a road opened. In 138 before Christ, Emperor Wu sent an envoy named Zhang to the western regions. Zhang was captured by the Xiongnu and held for 10 years, yet he never once abandoned his mission. Emperor Wu's cavalry thundered across the Gobi Desert to crush the Xiongnu. Hooves kicked up desert sand as they galloped across the endless steppe. The mounted forces of Wei Qing and Ho Chu-bing struck at the very heart of the Xiongnu. It was the moment the balance of power on the steppe was overturned.
陛下，臣走了10年，到达西方尽头，那里有一个庞大的国家，他们也知道司徒。
That great nation at the western end, the one Zhang Qian spoke of, was Rome. Along the Silk Road, silk and spices flowed in both directions. It seemed only a matter of time before the two empires would meet face to face. If the armies of these two empires had met, who would have won? Leave your answer in the comments. The meeting very nearly happened. In 97 AD, a Han envoy named Gan Ying reached the Persian Gulf. He was just days away from Roman territory. But Persian merchants fed him false information. It was a lie, designed to protect their profits as middlemen in the trade. Gan Ying turned back, and the two sons never came face to face. The two sons never met. But the third son had been alone from the very beginning.
El sol nació en esta tierra, y debemos construir la casa del sol. Todos los caminos llevarán a este lugar.
Teotihuacan. It means the place where the gods were born. But the name is not real. It was given centuries later by the Aztecs, who stumbled upon the ruins. Who actually built the city remains a mystery to this day. But the scale of the city is staggering. At its peak, over 120,000 people lived here, a metropolis that rivaled Rome and Chang'an. The Pyramid of the Sun stands 65 meters tall, and beneath this pyramid, in 2015, liquid mercury was discovered. The same era as the mercury in Qin Shi Huang's tomb. The same substance, the same intent. Could this really be coincidence? Around 100 AD, if you could have looked down at the Earth from space, 3 spots would have glowed brighter than anywhere else. Rome, Chang'an, and Teotihuacan. 3 suns burning at the same time. The combined population of these 3 cities exceeded 3 million. A significant share of the world's entire urban population was concentrated in just these 3 points. Rome controlled its hundreds of thousands through roads. The Han through bureaucracy. Teotihuacan through massive apartment complexes. As if they were all following the same blueprint. But what comes next is where it gets truly chilling. Rome and the Han experienced nearly identical crises at nearly the same time. In the 2nd century AD, plagues struck east and west simultaneously. In Rome, the Antonine Plague. In the Han, a devastating epidemic. The Silk Road may have carried pathogens along with its goods.
The universe is change, and life is but what you deem it. Even death is nature's will, there is nothing to fear.
An age when even an emperor had to live as a philosopher. The empire was already trembling. The Han population plummeted from 60 million to 20 million, ravaged by plague and civil war. In Rome, millions fell to disease as well. And around the same period, Teotihuacan's growth ground to a halt. 3 empires rose at the same time and began to crumble at the same time. Can we really call this coincidence? Perhaps empire is the upper limit of complexity that humanity can reach. Beyond a certain scale, it simply collapses under its own weight. Like a critical point in physics. Could there be a critical point for civilizations as well? Why they rose together and why they fell together. We've just witnessed half the answer. The other half unfolds in the next episode. At the very moment, all 3 empires collapse at once. Rome fell to the blades of barbarian invaders. The Han fell to rebellion from within. Teotihuacan fell to a great fire, its cause still unknown. But upon the ruins, humanity would discover something extraordinary. As empires of matter crumbled, empires of the spirit arose. Christianity, Buddhism, and the sacred rites of the Maya began spreading across the continents. Part 5. Return of the Gods. The fall of 3 empires and the birth of new faiths. Of Rome's law, the Han's order, and Teotihuacan's urban design, which empire's legacy do you think endures most powerfully today? Leave your verdict in the comments. Mercury promised eternity, but Mercury is poison. So too were the empires that dreamed of lasting forever. The resonance continues.
If you felt that satisfying chill, hit like, subscribe, and follow the signal.